All right, taking you back out to a live picture here of Gwinnett Correctional Center with some updates for you. We now have a possible suspect photo from Gwinnett County showing you here. I'm going to pull it up from our Rebecca Schramm, who is out on the field right now covering this investigation that we've been bringing to you since about 8 o'clock this morning. This is surveillance video showing a picture of who officials at this time believe could be a possible suspect in this investigation. Now, to give you a little bit of background, this happened earlier this morning. A Gwinnett Correctional Center officer arrived at work around 6:20 a.m. There was some sort of confrontation with another individual in the parking lot of the correctional center, which escalated when the officer was shot and killed. Now, that officer has since been identified as Scott Reiner, a 10-year veteran of the Gwinnett Correctional Center. We now are following any and all updates of where this investigation is regarding an ongoing search for the shooter. Now, from a press conference we took you to earlier this morning, Gwinnett County officials, Gwinnett Correctional Center officials even, adding that they don't know whether this was a targeted shooting or whether this was a random act of violence, but that they are searching for the shooter at this time, and they are also working to better understand what exactly caused this and what the motive behind the shooting was. Take a listen.
Just a little bit of that.
Okay, you guys tell me.
I'm ready.
You right?
Yeah, good.
Good to go. Okay. All right, name, title, all that, please.
Sergeant Jennifer Richter, J.E. So this morning around 6:20 a.m., our officers received a call of a shooting here at the Gwinnett Correctional Complex. When they responded to the scene, they located one victim who was deceased. The victim has been identified as 59-year-old Scott Reiner. He is a correctional officer here at the Gwinnett Correctional Complex. He's been an employee here for approximately 10 years. Right now, this is still a very active scene, a very active investigation. Our detectives and officers are following up on leads, but the best that we can tell at this time is that the victim was involved in some kind of a confrontation or interaction with another individual here in the parking lot, and that individual did shoot him. So unfortunately, the victim is deceased, and we are currently working on this investigation.
Are you looking for the suspect here?
We are looking for a suspect. I don't have any information on that suspect yet, hoping to have more information on that later on.
Are there any cameras or things? Obviously, in this facility, I'm sure there are cameras that will be able to help you.
Yes, we do have some investigative leads that include surveillance footage as well to work with.
Was he going into work or leaving work?
I believe he was coming into work.
And could this have been domestic of any sort, or is it too early?
Right now, we're looking at all possibilities. It could have been domestic. It could have been anything. So right now, we're still trying to work that out.
You know who you're looking for?
We do not.
Do you have any kind of description?
We don't know who we're looking for, and we don't have a description as yet. Hopefully soon.
Any vehicle you're on the lookout for?
No, we don't have any vehicle description yet.
Do you think the person got away on foot? I might have missed that.
As far as we know, the person got away on foot, but they could have had a vehicle in the area that we don't know about yet.
Do you think it was only one individual?
As of right now, we're working with just one individual. That could change.
Do we think that this person was targeted, or is it obviously still too early to know? Could this have been a random act?
It's still too early to know if this could have been a random act or a targeted act, but we are following up on every avenue.
At about what time did this happen?
About 6:20 this morning, we got the call, but we believe it happened a short time before that.
And could you repeat the name of the victim again, please?
The victim's name is Scott Reiner, R-I-N-E-R.
And he's 59.
59. R-I-N-O-R?
R-I-N-E-R.
R-I-N-E-R.
He's been with you for 10 years.
10 years.
Did he have a prior law enforcement background before coming here?
I don't know.
This is going to be tough on the law enforcement community.
Yeah, anytime that we lose one of our own, it is extremely difficult, extremely emotional, but what the police department is going to do to help him and honor his memory and his family is to work this case as hard as we can and to catch the person that did this.
What was Mr. Reiner's official title?
Official title? What was his official title?
Senior correctional officer.
Senior correctional officer.
He's been here a long time. Are you able to share any details about what kind of man and officer he was?
I don't have that, but we can get that for later.
Do you know how he was
I believe his co-workers located him.
And what type of work does he do? Or, you may not know.
Yeah, I'll find out for you.
Did they hear the gunfire and come out and find him, or did they just show up at work and locate him?
I think that I don't have that.
And what is this side as opposed to the jail side? Is there a difference? Are the two connected? Explain this particular building we're looking at.
Yes, so people who are incarcerated here are actually serving a sentence, as opposed to the people who are at the jail. Most of them are awaiting trial or being held for a preliminary.
And he worked on this side.
Yes. Yeah, this is a separate department from the sheriff's department.
Can you tell us what area of the parking lot he was found?
He was kind of on the other side of the crime scene, Van.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Taking you back out to this picture I managed to obtain here. This is Scott Reiner. He was 59 years old, a 10-year veteran of the Gwinnett County Correctional Center, having served as a senior correctional officer. I wanted to make sure I showed you that press conference that we covered earlier today, just to give you some additional details of just the weight this investigation has on that law enforcement community. Several members of Gwinnett County Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, and other members of the Gwinnett County Correctional Center all assisting with this search for the shooter. Gwinnett County Police, of course, leading the investigation at this time. The biggest details on what we know is really the very beginning of how this all came about. This 10-year veteran, 59-year-old Scott Reiner, arriving to work for another typical Tuesday at 6:20 a.m. There was some sort of confrontation in the parking lot of this facility here that you're looking at, the Gwinnett County Correctional Complex. In the parking lot, there was some sort of confrontation with an individual. That individual believed to be the shooter that fired that fatal shot that took Reiner's life. Now, the search for that person responsible continues at this time. We did manage to obtain this picture right here, showing you a piece of surveillance video with the possible suspect. Now, the big question that remains in a lot of people's minds is whether this was targeted or a random act of violence. That is still to be known. Right now, the main focus of Gwinnett County, echoing the words of those officials saying they're looking for this suspect and they're working to identify the person responsible based on any and all evidence. They have primarily that surveillance video, and that's where we appear to have this picture from. So back out to a live picture of the Gwinnett Correctional Complex. This is a complex that houses incarcerated inmates that are fully serving the sentences that have been brought down upon them. They also do community work in the Gwinnett County community, whether that be labor work or janitorial services. That is part of what the complex initiates for these inmates, but for the most part, it houses incarcerated persons. This investigation is centered around the parking lot of this complex. That is where the shooting took place. That is where the loss of life for Scott Reiner happened. Now the search for this individual, believed to be a possible suspect in the investigation, continues. Now, I just received word that we are expecting moments from now a press conference to take place regarding this ongoing homicide investigation. Now, our team on the ground, our Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm, as well as our photojournalist, working to get you that live picture back as we wait for this press conference. Now, the biggest question that does remain is whether anybody has been arrested at this time and the motive behind the shooting. Again, the information we have right now is that the search for a suspect continues. We were able to obtain this picture, which we believe is a possible photo of the suspect in this investigation, but the details on whether any arrests have been made remains to be known. That is something that we hope to hear from Gwinnett Police Department, who is leading this investigation, as well as other law enforcement members that are on the scene assisting. Right now, we are going to wait for this press conference to start, which I believe will be any moment now. But as we're waiting, let's talk a little bit about this correctional center. This is located in Lawrenceville, specifically on High Hope Road near Swanson Drive. This is a housing complex where incarcerated inmates are held. These are persons serving full sentences. Again, the victim in this shooting was 10-year veteran of the correctional center, Scott Reiner. He was 59 years old, just arriving to work on a Tuesday morning. Confrontation ensuing with another individual and shots being fired, that shot killing him in the parking lot of this correctional facility. Again, we are waiting for a press conference any moment now. We are going to take you to that as soon as it begins.
Doing Shop with a Cop with. So just amazing guy, an amazing guy.
Was he a father? Do you know anything about his personal life?
He was a father, and I do believe he is a recent grandfather, bragging about the grandkids, all of that good stuff. So definitely a family man.
What are you going to make the most about him?
His personality, just who he was as a person. Being in this negative environment, sometime working here, it's easy to come in and be negative and be unhappy, but that's not who he was. And every day he did it on a daily basis. So that's a hard job to do.
How are you all coping with his loss today as far as bringing in people to help those of you here at work?
We have some support individuals that are coming in to talk to people because, as you know, this is hard. This is not something that you wake up and think that's going to happen every day. So for it to happen this morning, it's different. It's something we have to process. We have to come together as a family. We know that Gwinnett County Police Department is going to assist, and just everybody is reaching out at this time. So it's difficult, but we're going to get through it.
I heard his coworkers are really devastated by this. Can you share?
He works with a group that take the inmate crews out, and of course they're a little closer than everyone else, and they're definitely processing it at this time, and it's hard, but again, they're going to, just rely on each other to get through this.
How do you plan to remember him? You mentioned his work ethic, and he always coming in and never wanted to leave and always wanted to continue working.
Well, I do have a lot of pictures, so I'm going to try to go through my pictures and just kind of, make maybe a little slide together of all the funny memories of pictures he's taken. He liked to take pictures. He liked to take funny pictures. He was a trickster himself. And just remember, just remember, and remember his family in this time.
We're thinking about you.
Do you know, was he well liked by the inmates? Was he a good
Officer
guy?
Reiner was even liked by the inmates, and that's kind of hard to say sometimes. Everybody, if you're an inmate, you don't want to like officers, but because he treated inmates fair, he did what he was supposed to do, they even liked him. So they're having a hard time as well with this.
Anything else you would like to say about him and about this tragedy?
My prayers just go out to his family. You know, my prayers really go out to his family. I want his family to know that he was our family as well, and we're going to get through this together.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
You did a great job.
Appreciate it. That was
Thanks.
great.
Words there directly from Gwinnett County officials as they continue this investigation. Just to recap some of what was said, this is a hard and difficult investigation and not something that anybody was expecting. You talk about law enforcement and the reality of the job. Looking now at this reality that they're walking into this morning, the loss of one of their own. This is a picture of Scott Reiner, the officer that was killed while going to work this morning. Like many of us, going into that parking lot at 6:20 this morning, possibly hugging and kissing his family goodbye just moments earlier as he left for another day of work, and then to have something like this where he arrives, there is, from what we've been told, a confrontation with another individual, that confrontation escalating, and this 10-year veteran of the Gwinnett Correctional Center losing his life to gun violence. So now the search for the shooter in this case continues. That is really the focus of Gwinnett Police Department. If you heard earlier from officials, they were saying that the way that they're going to honor one of their own, Scott Reiner, was by bringing his shooter to justice and bringing him into custody. Now, at this time, we have not heard that there were any arrests being made. The official word is that the investigation is ongoing. We did receive this photo right here of a possible suspect based on surveillance video of a possible individual that Gwinnett County officials have interest in at this time while they're conducting this investigation and search for the shooter. But really the weight of those words that you just heard was that this is different, this is hard, and that this is definitely a pain that Scott Reiner's law enforcement family is feeling right now. You talk about the amount of deaths that have happened this year of law enforcement individuals killed in the line of duty. 5 total now with Scott Reiner, 6 for 2020 alone. The previous year, 8 law enforcement officials killed in the line of duty. This just adding to that heartbreak for this very close law enforcement community just outside of this Gwinnett Correctional Center. I'm going to show you this press conference that we covered this morning, just once again with the latest details as the search for the shooter continues in this unimaginable death and investigation, now homicide investigation. Let's take a listen in, and then we'll talk more about Scott Reiner and just some of the words you heard from his fellow law enforcement family.
Scoot up just a little bit. How's that?
Okay, you guys tell me. Sergeant Jennifer Richter, So this morning around 6:20 a.m., our officers received a call of a shooting here at the Gwinnett Correctional Complex. When they responded to the scene, they located one victim who was deceased. The victim has been identified as 59-year-old Scott Reiner. He is a correctional officer here at the Gwinnett Correctional Complex. He's been an employee here for approximately 10 years. Right now, this is still a very active scene, a very active investigation. Our detectives and officers are following up on leads, but the best that we can tell at this time is that the victim was involved in some kind of a confrontation or interaction with another individual here in the parking lot, and that individual did shoot him. So unfortunately, the victim is deceased, and we are currently working on this investigation.
Are you looking for the suspect here?
We are looking for a suspect. I don't have any information on that suspect yet, hoping to have more information on that later on.
Are there any cameras or anything? Obviously, in this facility, I'm sure there are cameras that will be able to help.
Yes, we do have some investigative leads that include surveillance footage as well to work with.
Was he going into work or leaving work?
I believe he was coming into work.
And could this have been domestic of any sort, or is it too early?
Right now we're looking at all possibilities. It could have been domestic, it could have been anything. So right now we're still trying to work that out.
You know who you're looking for?
We do not.
Do you have any kind of description?
We don't know who we're looking for, and we don't have a description as yet, hopefully soon.
Any vehicle you're on the lookout for?
No, we don't have any vehicle description yet.
Do you think the person got away on foot? I might have missed that.
As far as we know, the person got away on foot, but they could have had a vehicle in the area that we don't know about yet.
Do you think it was only one individual?
As of right now, we're working with just one individual. That could change.
Do we think that this person was targeted, or is it obviously still too early to know? Could this have been a random act?
It's still too early to know if this could have been a random act or a targeted act, but we are following up on every avenue.
At about what time did this happen?
About 6:20 this morning, we got the call, but we believe it happened a short time before that.
And could you repeat the name of the victim again, please?
The victim's name is Scott Reiner, R-I-N-E-R.
And he's 59.
59. R-I-N-O-R? R-I-N-E-R.
He's been with it for 10 years.
10 years.
Did he have a prior law enforcement background before coming here?
I don't know.
This is going to be tough on the law enforcement community.
Yeah, anytime that we lose one of our own, it is extremely difficult, extremely emotional, but what the police department is going to do to help him and honor his memory and his family is to work this case as hard as we can and to catch the person that did this.
What was Mr. Reiner's official title?
Official title? What was his official title?
Senior correctional officer.
Senior correctional officer.
It's been here a long time. Are you able to share any details about what kind of man and officer he was?
I don't have that, but we can get that for later.
Do you know how he was found?
I believe his co-workers located him.
And what type of work does he do? Or, you may not know.
Yeah, I'll find out for you.
Did they hear the gunfire and come out and find him, or did they just show up at work and locate him?
I think that I don't have that.
And what is this side as opposed to the jail side? Is there a difference? Are the two connected? Explain this particular building we're looking at.
Yes, so people who are incarcerated here are actually serving a sentence, as opposed to the people who are at the jail. Most of them are awaiting trial or being held for a preliminary.
And he worked on this side.
Yes. Yeah, this is a separate department from the sheriff's department.
Can you tell us what area of the parking lot he was found?
He was kind of on the other side of the crime scene, Van.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Taking you back out to our live picture on the right-hand side, I wanted to leave up the photo of the suspect who Gwinnett County police are currently searching for. Now, no identity has been released, or really the latest word right now from officials is that they're working to both identify and locate the suspect responsible. I did get, while we were listening to that press conference, a press release from Gwinnett County. I'm going to read that out to you. Basically stating Gwinnett County Police is investigating this shooting. The victim has been named as 59-year-old Scott Reiner. He was a 10-year veteran of the Gwinnett Correctional Center, a senior correctional officer, and from what you heard earlier, we took you to a live conversation with Gwinnett Correctional Center, saying that he was somebody who was who got along well with his coworkers. He was a father, possibly starting to be a grandfather, and that this is a difficult and hard loss. Those words directly from some of the individuals that remain on scene helping to bring this investigation forward. Now, to give you more details from this press release, now this all happened shortly after 6:20 a.m. when Scott Reiner arrived at work, typical Tuesday, arriving at work at the Gwinnett Correctional Center. Officers did respond to a person shot called at the correctional complex. That's on High Hope Road in Lawrenceville. Now, when they arrived, they did locate Reiner with a gunshot wound, and preliminary investigation suggests that he was in the parking lot just outside of the correctional facility when he was shot. Again, Reiner was employed with the correctional complex for over 10 years, rising to a senior correctional officer role. The Gwinnett Police Department is, of course, extending their condolences to family, friends, and coworkers. You talk about a law enforcement community that is essentially like a second family, and this is a loss that is being felt, I'm sure, heavily with his family, but also deeply with the people that he worked with every single day. No arrest has been made. That is the official word from Gwinnett County Police. No arrest made at this time. This is very much an active investigation. Detectives are exploring motives, primarily whether this was targeted or a random act of violence. They are still looking into that. They are asking at this time if you have any information, maybe you witnessed something or you know somebody who may have seen something, to reach out to Gwinnett County Police Department. You can contact them. I'm going to throw that number up here shortly at 770-513-5300. They are also accepting anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers. That's going to be at 404-577-8477. I'll say that number again, 404-577-8477. You can also anonymously reach out with your information at stopcrimeatl.com. All right, and I just threw that number up for you. So that is the number to call if you have any information regarding this investigation while Gwinnett County Police search for the suspect, believed to be pictured on your left-hand side. I'm going to bring back a picture of Scott Reiner here momentarily, just so we can talk a little more about this loss. Again, what we heard, I want to say 25 minutes ago, from members of the Gwinnett Correctional Center saying that this was a well-respected member of law enforcement. He was a senior correctional center official. He was a 10-year veteran at this complex, you know, arriving to work every day, a father. I believe it was mentioned that he may have recently became a grandfather. So you can imagine the toll this is having on his family and coworkers, and really a lot of members of law enforcement. You talk about the 5 other deaths that have happened involving law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. This, just the latest of that has to carry a heavy toll through people that worked with him, but also other members of law enforcement, especially in Gwinnett County. So that on your left, I'm gonna full screen this just for a moment, bring my graphic down. This is a picture of Scott Reiner, 59 years old, killed this morning just outside of the parking lot at the Gwinnett Correctional Complex. fatally shot following a confrontation with an individual just in that parking lot as he was headed into work this Tuesday morning. So bringing this number back up for you. If you have any information or you know somebody who does, let them know. The Gwinnett County Police is asking for any witnesses or anybody with information to come forward at this number. That's 770-513-5300. You can also reach out anonymously through Crime Stoppers at www.stopcrimeatl.com. Bringing back this picture here of the person who is believed to be the alleged shooter in this investigation. That is a picture off of surveillance video. Right now, Gwinnett County Police leading the investigation to find the person responsible. That is what we are going to continue monitoring at this time. I'm going to leave this live picture for you up here. Check in with my team if there's any updates. But right now, the main thing we are waiting for is to learn more about this, to learn whether any arrests have been made. We're told no arrests at this time. That's the latest directly from Gwinnett County Police. And what exactly was the motive behind this shooting? And we are going to provide you the latest update at the top of the noon hour on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. Hey, in the meantime, I want to show you this. You can go to our website, AtlantaNewsFirst.com. We're putting out every detail that we learn about this ongoing investigation as soon as we hear about it so that you can be informed and stay up to date with this. The easiest way, if this is something that you're following closely and you've been with us since about 8 o'clock this morning, is to download the Atlanta News First app. We send any and all major breaking news directly to your phone through a push notification so that you don't miss a thing. You just have to subscribe to the breaking news function and we will keep you updated on arrests, motives, and anything else involving this case, as well as more on who Scott Reiner was and the service that he brought to the Gwinnett County community. So I'm going to leave this up for you for a moment. You can also catch our live streams on this page if you're curious. If we have any updates, we'll also be live on here. So again, AtlantaNewsFirst.com or through the Atlanta News First app. We also will have a top of the hour update starting at noon with our 12 o'clock newscast.